Let's do Too Lazy to Try. Too Lazy to Try has a new video out called Comedians Won't Stop Roasting the Rogansphere for Being Grifters. Let's check him out. I ain't checked out Too Lazy to Try in a while. Not sure where he's been. Maybe I've missed some of his clips. But let's big up Too Lazy to Try. Let's see what he's saying. Comedians Won't Stop Roasting the Rogansphere. Big up everybody tuning in live. If you're listening to this and you hear the sound of my voice, please like the stream. There's about 100 of you in the stream chat right now. 100 of you watching, sorry. And there's only 29 likes. 29! Which is pretty tight. So for those of you who are watching, all 110 of you, 112 of you, 109 of you, if you could spare a moment and like the stream, I'd be greatly appreciated. Thank you so much.
And now we're watching it really heavy now. People grift to a side politically is so funny to me.
It's wild. We know who these people are.
Yeah, like if
we know who these comedians are. Like we're talking about comics, and we're just like, there's people doing so well with this grift.
Yeah.
That you go that like, we're all just sitting here like in disbelief.
Liking pictures of his fucking elk meat is gay as.
What if you like elk meat?
Thank God somebody said it. Thank God somebody said it. I think I mentioned it before in the stream chat. Look, all the comedians are like this sort of shit. Like, what the fuck? Look at the comments. All these various accounts. Like, he posts this all the fucking time. A variation of this. He posts this all the fucking time. I don't get it. I really don't get it. I really don't get why people get so excited and happy about these fucking posts. But anyway, big up Dan Soda. Big up Dan Soda.
You don't like elk meat.
I love fucking elk meat.
What if you want to stay in his good graces? Oh.
Finally, some honesty from Joe.
No, I like his politics the best.
I do too.
Yeah, I feel like
I like how in touch.
Big up journalist.
Man. That's my favorite part about Rogan. He's just like one of us.
I'm there for the riffing. I love the riffing.
All right.
Big up Dan Soda. Big up Dan Soda.
So it seems like every week now there are more and more comedians roasting the Rogansphere for being out of touch on funny grifters. I mean, it seems like most of the comedy scene outside of Austin just thinks Rogan and his crew are a joke now. You know, once they started focusing more on podcasting than stand-up and prioritized making money over being a respected comedian and started interviewing...
I disagree. I think it has more to do with them focusing on podcasting than podcasting over stand-up. Because most of those guys do more podcasting than stand-up. Even those East Coast guys that take the piss. They all podcast more than they do stand-up. I think the issue is this tilt towards politics. The tilt towards politics is a thing that people should be calling out.
Politicians and oligarchs, that was the beginning of the end. Now we see a lot of other comedians don't really have much respect for them anymore. I mean, some of the Rogansphere guys are barely even stand-up comedians at this point. You know, they're mainly podcasters, and stand-up comedy is just a side thing. I mean, I never hear anyone say anything good about Theo Von, Tim Dillon, or Joe Rogan stand-up, and it's clear they don't really care about it that much because they don't need to. As long as they have a popular podcast, they can sell tickets and get Netflix specials. So they have more of an incentive to focus on their podcast over their stand-up. Like, podcasts have really helped comedians promote themselves. You know, now they're making more money than ever, but also it made it so comedians don't really need to care about their stand-up act anymore, which Anthony Jeselnik explained pretty well during this interview he did while promoting his last special. You know, he's been a big critic of the Rogansphere and the negative impact it's had on comedy.
I think a lot of comics have gotten bad because they make too much money from their podcast. And so they're putting too much effort into that. I want my effort to go toward the stage.
Oh, you think it's been...
I will disagree with that. I'll disagree a little bit there with Anthony Jeselnik. I'll disagree a little bit there with Anthony Jeselnik. I don't think they put more effort into podcasting that leads to them putting less effort into stand-up. I think they put less effort into everything because it's so easy to make more money by not trying too hard. Think of any stand-up comedy podcast where you feel like they actually put effort into their show. You know? Like, maybe the only one I can think of off the top of my head is Man Shane's My Secret Podcast, where you feel like they put effort into, like, you know, finding cool topics to talk about, interesting tidbits and shit, interesting story. Like, they don't really put any effort into anything. So I think the lack of effort across the board, because it's hard to be a hard worker if you're being paid well not to be a hard worker. You know? They get paid very well not to work hard. So why would they work hard? That's what's happening. So then they take their foot off everything. So I think the money from the money they make from stand-up podcasting and the ease at which they make so much money from it has led to them, you know, developing bad developing bad habits essentially, and they're basically eroding their work ethic.
A little poisonous for the industry, the cotton candy of how sloppy you can be in a form 3 times a week, as opposed to the way you do it, which is clearly sculpted very carefully.
I mean, the podcast isn't sculpted. We're just going out there and doing it. But I think people have made so much money from podcasting that it's made.
We also have this, who needs stand up when you can chat to JD Vance is hilarious. Big up on 10 toes. Comment. And my technical T-Fat K by fan proxies. That's true.
Made stand-up comedy as an art form worse. I think that's without question is happening. People are making more money. If your success is making money, you're doing just as well. But if it's about making the art of stand-up comedy great, it's suffering. It's gotten bad.
And it just keeps getting worse because not only do they care more about podcasting than stand-up, but now they also care more about politics than stand-up. Because I guess just goofing around with your comedian friends on a podcast isn't enough for these podcasters either. You know, there's still more money out there. So they had to become political grifters and start interviewing and hanging out with politicians and tech oligarchs, which I think most comedians outside of Austin and Rogan's inner circle are just laughing at, especially the New York comedians like Dan Soder, who is even pretty friendly with Rogan and has been on his podcast. He's like, what the hell's going on? You know, because he personally knows these comedians. So he's like, to see them get political all of a sudden is wild because I know what they used to be like. I know they're full of shit and they're just doing this for money.
If you're a fan of a comic that just became political,
you have to wonder. We know who these people are.
Yeah, like if
we know who these comedians are. Like we're talking about comics, and we're just like we're all just sitting here like in disbelief. Like, and it's like
the absolute ignoring of evidence from the past is mind-boggling. Where you go, well, he didn't act like that, and then all they have to do is go like, yeah, I didn't like the woke mind virus. And you go, that's not even how you talk. And then you see the people that switch and you go, who are you?
The people that like got involved, like after having no opinion.
That's the craziest
one.
If you ever see me go political, something is wrong. I have lost the ability to write a joke, and I am clawing for money. Or I owe someone a lot of money.
This is what they must be making so much money.
That's what it is. And then what it is now you're chasing the money, so you're just willing to say whatever you need. And by the way, both sides, far left, far right, it always crumbles. And watching them return.
So I think a lot of these comedians just got greedy, and I think they wanted to be part of the big club that George Carlin used to talk about. You know, they wanted to hang out with the elites. They wanted to be at the presidential inauguration. They want to get flown out to the Middle East with the president. They want to have a seafood dinner with JD Vance. You know, they just want to be part of the club.
You have a gun?
They don't care about their...
Yeah, big up.
Theo isn't a genocide historian?
Shock horror. Yeah, exactly. Shock horror. Shock horror.
Stand-up act at this point, or if their podcast is being used as a propaganda tool. They just want money and to be part of the elite, even if that comes at the cost of comedians thinking they're a joke now. You know, it seems like most comedians outside of Rogan's circle just think the whole thing is really bizarre and is hurting the comedy podcast scene. And this is just what they say on podcasts. So off air, they must be talking a lot of shit.
Comedy podcasting is entering this world of like news or something.
Yeah.
And people are taking it serious. They're all having like politicians on.
Journalists.
Tim got fucking interviewed by like CNN.
Yeah.
And I saw that they had Bernie on Schultz's show.
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on?
Tensions are high down there. It's a weird space because people are there, and now there's they're all next to Trump. We're like a step away from the presidential election. Everything's divided and weird fucking hemisphere where these comedians are in suits at a presidential inauguration.
What do you feel, and podcasters, what do you feel about politicians and billionaires who've appeared on podcasts of your peers to try to leverage comedy for their own goals?
All I can say is personally, I would never do it. I would never have somebody come on that's running for fucking president with my intellect. I'm not going to sit there and be like, so, like, what are your, what's your foreign policy? Like, it would just, I would be like within 3 minutes, dude, what was your favorite Super Bowl? And then people would be like watching it going, I like that Super Bowl too. I'm going to vote for this guy. It's just like, it's just so far beyond my wheelhouse. Like I am just that's just way beyond. Like somebody said to me one time, I go, Bill, you're a really smart guy. And I go, yeah, in a sports bar.
Such a great point. Honestly, you gotta love his self-awareness. You gotta love his self-deprecation. You gotta fucking love it, honestly. You'd never hear Rogan say this. Rogan actually thinks he's a fucking public intellectual. Rogan actually thinks he's smarter than the average bear. Rogan actually thinks he's more clocked in than fucking experts. Knows way more than people out there. Like Rogan really does think he's smart. That's the fucking funny part about it.
You put me in a sports bar and you want me to talk about 70s and 80s sports. I am scoring very high.
Yeah.
All right. You put me in like that form to have to interview somebody that is going to run for president, and then as the sports bar guy, you're going to see like, yeah, this guy did go to summer school a lot. So, or whatever. It's like, you're a smart guy. Compared to what?
And one of the funniest things about this whole transition from comedians to political commentators is seeing what Theo Von has turned into. He had a good thing going. People thought he was down to earth and humble. But then, of course, he decided to start interviewing the tech oligarchs like Mark Zuckerberg and Sam Altman. And then, of course, politicians like J.D. Vance and Donald Trump. And he also started to get really serious about politics. Like after Trump and J.D. Vance had that meeting with Zelensky where they lectured him, Theo put out this tweet and he said, tell Zelensky to give us our tax dollars back and get the fuck out of here. Disrespectful guy using our money and using his own.
Yeah, I think he ended up deleting that tweet, innit? His fans revolted. I remember when he posted that. I think these fans weren't happy about that.
People. So he's not even trying to be funny anymore. If you're going to talk about politics, at least pretend to be a comedian still. Like, I don't even know what this is anymore. And of course, he ended up deleting that tweet after it got a ton of backlash. So it's just gotten so bizarre, and it doesn't work well with his shtick. But also, I guess he kind of gets away with it because of his shtick. People see him do all this and just think, oh, he's still just a genuine down-to-earth guy because he acts like a teenager, I guess. But I always have to remind people, this man is 45 years old. Like, he's the oldest one in this picture, and he definitely uses his dopiness to his...
That's hate, but big up to his to try. That's fucking hate, but big up to his to try. That's a really good observation. He's the youngest person in that picture, yet he's dressed like a child, isn't it? But by the way, I see this a lot. What is it with you Americans and like dressing? I think I see a lot more like age shaming when it comes to dress. I don't think we care in Europe. You guys in America, I feel like people say that a lot about Brendan too. There's a lot of things about, oh, like, he's dressed like a kid, he's like a teenager. Like, you guys are very sensitive to sense of style and like how someone carries themselves based on their age. Do you guys, or is that a bad observation? Do you guys have no idea what that's about? I feel like I never hear people talk about that in Europe or in the UK even. No one's really going to call you out or say anything if you're an older dude that has like wears his baseball cap backwards, or wears like a band t-shirt, or wears like Jordans. But you guys in the States, you're very sensitive to you're very quick to call people out if they're like over 40 and they wear trainers. Why do you think that is? It's very strange. Big up on 10 Toes. I'm disappointed he never shied out Miss Johnny for passing away this week. Who? Miss Jonda. No idea what that is, brother. Big up on 10 Toes. Bird helicopter pilot's license. Big up. It's like AD and Pun. They dress like high schoolers. Theo ain't got no Margellas. Theo ain't got no Margellas is fucking hilarious.
Advantage. Like, he knows what he's doing. I mean, he was literally crying about Palestine, and then afterwards went out to eat with Jared Kushner, who wants to demolish Palestine and turn it into a resort, and is also friends with Benjamin Netanyahu. And same thing with Trump. He's as pro-Israel as it gets, and Theo had him on his podcast, helped him get elected, went to his inauguration, and went to the Middle East with him just a couple months ago. So it's really hard to take him seriously. And in Theo's post about Palestine, he said, "What are we doing with a heartbreaking?" And this comedian, Zach Fox, called him out on it. And he posted a picture of Theo, Ivanka, and Jared. And he's like, what are we doing? Bro, ask them, not us. You know, because it's hilarious for Theo to be like, guys, what are we doing? Like, people should feel responsibility.
Oh, Zach Fox is going in on Theo. Don't let this piece of tornado bait fool you. He be blowing hookah smoke and doing key bumps with Trump. His family and some of the literal architects of genocide he's fake crying about. Wow, Zach Fox hates Theo. Shit.
And we should do something about it.
Zach Fox is a killer DJ, by the way. Very funny comedian and comedic actor, but fucking killer DJ. Big up Zach Fox.
About it, like the average person has any say in what's going on. But then he goes and has dinner and is friends with the people that are literally orchestrating what's going on, the people that actually have the power. Like, if he really cares that much about what's going on in Palestine, I don't know if he'd want to be friends with Jared Kushner and JD Vance and Donald Trump. But Theo, he loves playing both sides. Like, also, he had JD Vance on a couple months ago, and he didn't ask him about the Epstein list. But then afterwards, he tweeted, basically, why did JD Vance change his opinion on the Epstein list? And again, it's like, why didn't you ask him? It's so funny. He's friends with these people and hangs out with them. But then afterwards, he acts like he has nothing to do with them and they don't even know each other. I mean, also, he tweeted at JD Vance and Donald Trump and said, can we get some aid to Gaza now? Children are starving to death. We are America. This isn't about politics. It's about humanity. And then this other comedian, Gianmarco Ceresi, I think is how you say his name. He's like, why don't you ask them when they're on your show? You know, again, it's like, dude, you're friends with these people. You hang out with them. You have them on your podcast. And then afterwards, you're like, what's going on, guys? We need to do something about all these issues. So, of course, we're seeing more and more comedians make fun of him now because the guy's just a complete goofball, which he always has been. But now he's trying to be like a serious goofball, and it's just not working well. Like, also, Dan Soder has been making fun of him recently, too. And I'm sure people saw Mark Maron had a bit about him during his special. And I honestly thought more people would be defending Theo and calling Mark just bitter and jealous, which there are a lot of people still saying Mark is bitter, but they also admit that it was a funny bit, and I don't see many people defending Theo.
I think if Hitler were alive today, he'd probably appear on Theo Vaughn's podcast. And Theo would be like, see, y'all did a lot of meth, right? I mean, all the Nazis were all fucked up on meth, right, Hitler? That shit'll make you crazy, dog. I did some meth once. I was up for 3 days, and then I ate a live bird. No shit, Hitler, a live bird, bro. Hey, Hitler, you probably didn't even hate the Jews. That was just the meth making you crazy, dog. Hey, Hitler. Do you want to apologize to all the Jews right now on my show? No? I get it.
So between that and Bill Burr trashing, not him directly, but obviously he's someone Bill's referring to, Theo is probably going through it. I mean, he's not very good at handling criticism or people making fun of him.
True,
and he's very emotional too. And he was already getting shit from comedians, but now that it's coming from two really well-respected comedy veterans, you know, it's got to be tough. And I don't know how he feels about Mark Maron, but he still loves Bill Burr. You know, that's one of his favorite comedians. But unfortunately, his fans hate Bill. Like, earlier this year, Theo tried to put out a tweet praising him, and I think he just got so much backlash, he ended up deleting it. And it was pretty surprising.
Fucking hell, mate. Theo really sensitive, isn't he? He loves tweeting and deleting, isn't it? He loves to tweet and delete, bro. He's fucking fragile as fuck, Theo, isn't he? I didn't know he's that fragile.
Surprising that he retweeted this. Like, this was shocking. But I think, again, this is him trying to play both sides and try to act like he's not really in the same group as Rogan. So the tweet said, Bill Burr's an absolute legend for this, roasting conspiracy theorists like Joe Rogan who want to blame the LA wildfires on homeless people. You can see how uncomfortable Jimmy Kimmel became as soon as he said, free Luigi. And Theo retweeted that and said, Bill Burr, ladies and gentlemen, the best. So it's hilarious that Theo's praising Bill for trashing people like Rogan. But I don't know what Theo had to say about the wildfires, but I'm sure Bill puts Theo in the same category as Rogan, obviously.
There's an ugliness that's out there right now where, you know, there's certain podcasts out there that if you're a racist, if you're an anti-Semite, if you're a psycho-nationalist and you want a softball interview, there's podcasts out there where you can, and they will laugh at your fucking bad jokes and just give you this pass.
So I'd imagine Theo's probably one of the main people Bill's referring to there, but I don't know if he has the self-awareness to realize it. Let me know what you guys think, though. And if you want to hear about the first time Bill went on Theo's podcast, it was like one of the cringiest things ever.
Yeah, cool. There you go. Big up Too Lazy to Try. Big up Too Lazy to Try. Big up Too Lazy to Try. Brilliant little video there. Good to see Dan Soda calling shit out as well. I like him. He's one of my favorites. Big up Dan Soda. Big up Blood Clot Dan Soda.